Hammond Report for Sunday, February 27th of 2022. Check this out. I'll be back on the mic in a minute. Music.
And that's Jon Hammond at the organ with his group, known as the late
That's my man, Jazzbeaux Collins. Al Jazzbeaux Collins, the radio legend. In the background, while I want to tell you about this, I'm in San Francisco, California right now. I've had a wonderful time here this time around. And I was very fortunate to be the guest of two of my favorite radio guys out here on the Bay Area's jazz radio station. That's Clifford Brown Jr. and my man Chris Cortez. So we're going to go into the studio with these cats, and they're going to tell you a little bit about my music. And I want to remind you again, you're listening to Hammond Cast on KYOU Radio in San Francisco, 1550 AM.
You spend a lot of time with them, Chris.
It's very true. You know, I said the story the other day that the first time that I actually got a board shift here, you know, where you operate the controls for the announcer. That was my very first gig here at Jazzbeaux Collins. And it was an extraordinary experience, you know, because Al, at the time, I had no idea who I was dealing with, you know. He was such a character and someone that was just an amazing person to me, you know. Just that voice alone, you know, the way he spoke, it was just like the hip of the hippest.
The voice, the way he programmed music was very special, but also the way that he created theater of the mind.
Exactly.
That was really different. You know, very few people in the history of radio do it the way that Jazzbeaux did. I got to know Jazzbeaux. You know, I'd listened to him through the years, but I got to know Jazzbeaux. I was so excited when Ann Weitzel was the general manager here at the time. I was the program director. And she calls and says, I think we might be able to get Al Jazzbeaux Collins. Have you heard of him? I was like, have I heard of him? Well, that was Jazzbeau's voice on an album by Jon Hammond. And we have some of these that you can get. It's a special. This is our special hour. You know, Chris and I always kind of halfway teasingly say that we don't get many challenges here. We don't get those challenge hours down. And that's okay. We're not mad at anybody for that.
No, of course not.
But what we do get from time to time is specials, and we have a special for you now. It's the Jon Hammond album. And Chris, why don't you tell everyone about it?
Yes, this is a swinging release. It's funky, it's jazzy, it's bluesy. And it's called Late Rent, and it not only features the aforementioned gentlemen that Jazzbeaux just announced, Todd Anderson, Barry Finnerty, Ray Grappone, and others, but it also features one of my favorite drummers, Bernard Pretty Purdy, on some cuts, and Alex Foster also joins in, Barry Finnerty, of course, on many of the cuts. And this is a nice album to cool out to, you know, or actually when you're driving to, and it keeps you nice and calm. And it gets your head bobbing when you're grooving to the sounds of the B3 organ. Jon Hammond, you know, one of the finest B3 organ players, featured throughout this Hamburger Fries release.
A quality remastering, too. John was saying something to you, Chris, about it going directly from the organ into the board or something like, you know, I'm not technical like you recording engineer types, but very special sound.
On the Sidewinder, that was, you don't hear that often, particularly from a B3 organ, because the way they record B3 organs particularly is with a microphone, you know, and you have to get that rotating Leslie sound going, you know, it has a nice rotor effect. But this particular recording, the Sidewinder by Lee Morgan, done here by Jon Hammond, was recorded directly from the B3, and you'll never hear a clear sound like that from a B3, and it just captures the entire spectrum, you know. I mean, you hear the bass all the way down to the basement, the low lows all the way up to the highs. And it's a very cool sound indeed. And that's one of the tracks that are featured here. Another cut that's a burner is White Onions. That's always a fun tune.
We're going to play that one next. That's a great tune. We're going to play that one in just a few moments.
Late Rent, that's Jon Hammond's his broadcast theme, and this is a great album. I always cool out to it at home.
Have Al Jazzbeaux Collins featured throughout the album doing some of the back announcements.
That's right.
What a treat.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, Clifford Brown Jr. and Chris Cortez. And Chris is a fine drummer himself. Yes, he is. play a little bit of organ here for you on the Sidewinder from my very first album. What they were telling you about. The title of the album is Late Rent. Did you catch Saturday Night Live last night? Very heavy with the horrible war going on over in Ukraine. They did a beautiful thing. They brought the 30-piece Ukrainian choir on to do the cold opening. Very, very powerful. Sends out a beautiful message of peace. Let's hope that there will be peace over there real soon. Like now. We're going to take you home with this one. Everybody be careful out there. And like I always say, I want to be talking to you and not about ya. Jon Hammond told you so. I'll be back tomorrow with another Hammond Report. Have a beautiful Sunday. And an even better one tomorrow. Before I get out of here, there's one last thing I gotta say. You know what that is? Bye-bye now.